I just wanted to firstly ask you, in terms of the evidence you heard today, were you convinced that with the blame game that's been passed around?
Look, I think what we heard today was that there are a number of players in this inquiry who appear to share the blame. Mr Henry's evidence indicated that there was some cavalier elements to the way he went about his work, but equally, Jeff Thorne's evidence shows us that he twice denied access to the information that was released. It was only released when Wayne Eagleson intervened on behalf of John Key.
You seem to find some parts of that committee farcical. Why was that?
Well, but when Wayne Eagleson said that he didn't contemplate that releasing ministers' emails to and from a journalist may see the journalist's records released, that's nonsensical. If you're looking for information to and from a journalist, it will mean that material prepared by a journalist is released. And I just don't find it credible for Mr Eagleson to say that he didn't consider that.
Do you think that Jeff Thorne's resignation was appropriate, or has he been the scapegoat?
Well, look, we have to work our way through the evidence on that. He resigned for the reasons he's put in his evidence. What's quite clear is that twice he denied access to information about ministers and MPs because he didn't think that was right. He only changed that decision when Wayne Eagleson, on behalf of John Key, intervened.
So Wayne Eagleson at one point said that this was a special inquiry that because the Rebstock one had not gone correctly and that they had no guidance at all on how to conduct leak inquiries. I mean, there's leak inquiries been around this place for a long time.
There's no excuse for information that should have been provided being provided. That's one thing. So they got information like access records around Parliament that shouldn't have been disclosed, in my opinion. And secondly, they didn't get information that they should have got because they were taking this alternative route that they thought would entitle them to everything, and when that was closed off by Mr Dunn saying he would no longer cooperate, they didn't even get what they were entitled to under the Official Information Act.
So a waste of $42,000 in your opinion?
Well, that's what the committee's going to have to decide. There's some serious questions.
But as at today, we still do not know who leaked the Kitteridge report. I think what we've seen is that there are a number of players here who've got questions to answer, and we'll certainly be asking more questions about that. But Wayne Eagleson, on behalf of John Key, DPMC in terms of how the terms of reference were written up, and Mr Henry in terms of how he behaved, all have blame.
The committee seems to be united in its desire.
Is metadata. This distinction that's being made between privacy interests and metadata and the content of emails is arbitrary. The metadata here, which is what is being talked about being more access to through the GCSB legislation, showed 86 emails in a less than 2 week period and setting up a meeting for the date on which the alleged leaking of the report happened. Well, if there's not privacy issues that arise from metadata proven by that, well, I'm blind.
The committee
Mr. Robertson,
What do ministers make of the fact that their emails and phone calls were monitored in this way?
Well, it was clear from the questions that the government members were asking today that they were concerned about the way that their email material and metadata and content was potentially released. They have to face up to the fact that it was only released because Wayne Eagleson intervened on behalf of John Key. So if they've got concerns about that, it's John Key they should be talking to.
some people sitting outside this place might ask why this matters. What would you say?
Oh, this matters because it's about the way in which you as journalists go about your work in this building. It's about, as David Parker says, the privacy issues around metadata and content of information. And it's also about getting to the bottom of the leaking of a highly sensitive report.
What do you make of the fact that government ministers pretty obviously concerned about metadata, emails, records, and that being looked at by the inquiry in their supporting legislation?
Well, that's the very point. Today, government members will vote for the GCSB bill where they're trying to draw a false distinction between the privacy issues around metadata and the content of emails. What they heard today should give them serious pause for thought. Maybe they should not vote for that bill today so that New Zealanders can get the kind of protections that they seem to want for themselves.
Thank you very much.